G'day everyone, welcome to another CSBP Fertilisers Market Update. I'm Grey Johnston, and for something different this week, we're joined by our Supply Chain Manager, Jonathan Hams. Hamsy, how are you?
Well, Grey, how are you?
Very well, thank you. And let's jump into everyone's favourite topic at the moment, which is nitrogen. What's happening in the world of seaborne nitrogen since I last caught up with Ben a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, so demand remains strong. As you remember, back in April, India tendered for urea, only secured 800 to 900,000 out of the proposed 1.5 mil. So we're expecting them to come back into the market. But probably the key thing in the last week, and there has been lots of chatter, is China looked like they've finally re-emerged and entering the export market. Lots of chatter about how much, what sort of volumes and when. It has softened pricing somewhat. However, in WA, we're pretty much done for the season as from a purchasing perspective.
Yeah, so it looks like those global indicators are drifting downwards, but it probably, your critical question of when, it could almost be too late for the West Australian market.
Yeah, absolutely, because the export period for the urea be May, more so June through to September, which is essentially our off-season. So once we're getting into May, we're into the execution stage. So getting product from vessels into our sheds, into growers, onto growers' properties. So really, from a timing perspective, it's somewhat irrelevant because we're done.
And then moving from urea to Flexi-N, how are things looking in the Flexi-N market, kind of globally, and then I guess we'll be interested in what's happening West Australian supply.
Yeah, so from a global perspective, it's probably rinse and repeat for when you spoke to Ben. International demand is high and prices keep creeping up, sort of to the tune of 10 US a week. From a local perspective, we've got a Flexi-N vessel arriving in about a week. Our tanks, our tanks will be full, and we're making at all three locations, so Geraldton, Kwinana and Esperance. So we are pretty, it's fair to say we're stocked up and got plenty to sell.
Yeah, good news then. We should be well positioned to supply all through the in-season market out through the end of August.
Absolutely, yep, so we're in a pretty good position.
So that's urea and Flexi-N. For growers interested in CSBP's price position on those products, of course, jump on our website, csbpfertilisers.com/prices and have a look for a price of a small parcel on the day and get in touch with your account manager for a price for a more sophisticated bundle of products and larger volumes. In terms of phosphates, we know that we've kind of come to very close to the tail end of the phosphate importing season. So I guess again, sounds like we're in execution mode there, but there are some inklings around where pricing could be heading in coming season.
Yeah, it's been quite interesting the last couple of weeks, and as you say, where all of our vessels have been, last vessels arrived in April, but what we've seen in probably the last 8 weeks, we've seen FOB pricing rise by about 70 US a tonne, so up, sort of nudging the 700 US mark, which it's sort of 100, 110 Aussie dollar rises, which we haven't been impacted by, but that's where the market's at. As I mentioned with urea, the talk of China re-entering the export market for phosphates is happening, albeit at lower volumes than last year, which is putting upward pressure on pricing. So I guess for our growers, it's a bit of a watch. We do have some stock available, which leads into potentially growers with end-of-season campaigns.
Yeah, so it could be an opportunity if you did want to take a hedge against those, if those higher prices did persist into next season, could be an opportunity, towards the end of the season this year to get a hold of some 2025 product.
Yeah, absolutely. Top up for this year for those that are still needing product to finish seeding, and basically if growers have got any hedging strategies, come and talk to us.
And then any news that's worth relevant sharing on potash, our third favourite macronutrient?
Producers are wanting to increase prices. This week is the annual EFA conference where producers, traders and buyers all get together. So we'll see what the net effect of that is, but there has been upward pressure on potassium prices.
Thank you for that comprehensive wrap, Hamsy, of nitrogen and the impacts on local supply of phosphates and potash. I guess the last thing we've talked about recently with Ben is birth congestion and how that's playing out around the state. We know there's some closures in Geraldton at the moment and will be closures in Esperance shortly. Any impact to CSBP because of those?
We've done a lot of work to get ahead of the curve, so to speak, and we've got stocks of urea, granular ammonium sulphate at all locations. So our sheds are full. So we're in a pretty good position through a fair bit of hard work through our shipping people.
Beautiful. On that bombshell, we'll wrap it up. Thank you, Hamsy, for joining us.
Pleasure, mate. Thanks, Grey.
And thank you all out there in Fertiliser World. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
This podcast is provided as general information only. The content of this podcast is not a recommendation and has been prepared without taking your objectives or circumstances into account. Before acting on the content of this, you should consider its appropriateness to your circumstances and seek independent advice.